G'day everyone, we're up to the last full week of the van build. This week the big push is get the plumbing finished and a bunch of other finishing work that needs doing, including making the bed. So let's just get into it. So first up, it's finally time to get this pump and accumulator for the kitchen mounted. Well, now that I've finally managed to get these pumps and stuff mounted under here, we can start plumbing it all. So I'm going to start with the hydronic heater. So I'm just going to carry on with that and I'll check in with you again later. Okay, so hopefully you can hear me over the neighbour's weed eater, whippersnapper, whatever you want to call it, depends what country you're from. I've finished plumbing the heating, the hydronic side of the heating, hot water heating system. So I'll just show you what's going on there before it gets too confusing. So this line up here comes out of the hydronic heater down through the pump and then into the first heat exchanger, which is the one for the kitchen. The fluid will pass through that heat exchanger, then up into the second heat exchanger, which is the one for heating the shower water. Then from that heat exchanger it goes up through the floor into the reservoir, and then this other line that I'm wiggling now comes back down through the floor and back into the hydronic heater, so completes the circuit. I'll show you where the reservoir is. So there's the reservoir sitting there under the kitchen cabinet. This line is the one that comes up from the heat exchangers, dumps water into the reservoir, and then the other line comes straight out of the bottom of the reservoir back to the hydronic heater. So now I think it's finally time to permanently fit the waste tank. So I've just installed this Mopica Pro tank sensor in the bottom of the tank, and I'm filling the water tank for the first time. It uses a Bluetooth connection to your phone to an app. So now that I've calibrated the sensor, it's telling me the tank is 54% full. It's probably sufficient for now for testing, so I'm going to turn the hose off and then pressurise the system and see if I've got any leaks. I did have one leak here from a fitting which hadn't seated quite right, which I've now reseated and it seems to be fine, and I just tightened that hose clamp up as well because there was just a tiny bit of seepage from that. Don't see any other leaks so far. Not seeing any leaks under here. One of the features that I've put in this system is the ability to pump water from the shower system into the grey tanks. If I open this valve here, it's emptying the shower system, putting that water into the grey tank. And then this valve will allow water from the fresh system and fill the shower tank. So if I open this valve, the kitchen pump runs and it sends water into the shower tank. And so that makes it quite easy to get the old water out of the shower and put new water into the shower. So this is one of the tank sensors. I'm going to put this one on the waste tank, the grey tank. This ring gets stuck to the bottom of the tank, and then the tank sensor gets mounted up to the tank with some sonic grease on the pad that's under this plate, this sticky label, and then the retaining clip gets pushed up. So let's get that installed. Well, that's the end of the day. Today's most exciting development, I think, is that the water heating is now working. You can see here the system is currently off, but the glycol solution is sitting at 35 degrees at present, cooling down still. I've tested it. I get nice hot water both in the kitchen and in the bathroom. So that's great. After months of planning and preparation and waiting to see whether it was going to work, it does in fact work. I'm really pleased with that. So there's the controller there just sitting below the sink. It doesn't come with a nice mounting panel or anything like that, and I figure it doesn't really need to be visible. You come in here, you flick it on. I'm not going to turn it on now. If I press this, it would turn on. The system would kick in, start heating, and within a few minutes of turning it on, this is up over 60 degrees. You run water through the sink or through the shower, and you get lovely hot water. Really pleased with how that's working. So that's another success and another step closer to a finished van. Okay, it's Wednesday morning. I have 4 days left to get the van finished, essentially. 2 of those days, the next 2 days are fine days, and then Friday, Saturday are supposed to be wet. So I need to concentrate on getting as much done in the next 2 days as I possibly can, especially of things that require working outside the van. Most of the work underneath the van is finished now. I've got a little bit of sealing up and just cable tidying and that sort of thing, make sure everything's clipped up nicely and not going to rub and all that kind of thing. But it's most of the way there. So let's get these overhead cupboard catches done and get on to getting the bed done. So So this is the dimensions for the mounting of these catches. So rather than measure 10mm down and 24 millimeters in for every set of holes that I've got to drill, I think I'm going to make a couple of jigs so that I can then just sit the jig in place and drill the hole. All right, make noise. Don't very long.
Fits.
That was the plan.
That's the design. Well executed.
No. But you never know, design creep can happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've just made this jig, which I can set up in place to drill the holes for the catches, and that should get the relationships all to each other correct. So we'll give that a shot and see how it goes. Okay, so here's what I've had to do. Because I've got a small lip here, I made the face of the cabinet sit slightly lower than the ply, so there wouldn't be the chance of a seam edge of ply. It meant that the catch was getting pulled out of line. So I've got some 3mm ply, just cut some little bits of 3mm ply as a packer to space that down, and then effectively that would shorten the screw if I didn't fix the ply on, so I'm chucking a bit of glue on there. It makes the whole thing a little bit more fiddly, but it means that it works properly. Just extending the control wire for the diesel heater. Get the control panel up into this wardrobe here. In theory, now I could fire up the diesel heater and get it working. Well, unfortunately, I've just discovered that the LCD that came with the diesel heater has a broken screen. I've had it for months, so I'm not going to be able to get recourse from the seller that I bought it from. So I'm just going to have to get another control unit. But in the meantime, Melanie's helped me to prime the diesel pump, and now we've fired the diesel heater up. There it is, running full noise, and yep, it's outputting some nice hot air now, so that works, and carry on with other things. Well, it's Thursday morning. I have about a day and a half of fine weather left. Well, not wet weather left to work on the van, and then the weather's going to pack up. So we're getting close. I've made myself a list in Microsoft To Do of the jobs that still require doing. Looks like a relatively long list. A lot of them are fairly small jobs, but I just don't want to forget things. So it's probably a few things I still need to add to my list as well. But today I'm going to concentrate on, I'm going to get underneath and seal up any penetrations I haven't sealed. Just look for anything that needs cable tying or securing properly or anything like that. And then I'll get back onto getting the bed sorted. Well, it's Friday morning, second to last day of the van build, and the weather, the rain that was meant to arrive late this afternoon is here before breakfast today. But the show must go on, and the build needs to be finished, so we'll just do what we can to deal with the rain and get things finished off. So let's have a look at what we're up to. I need to finish off this door under the bed here. I've got some fittings that need fitting in the bathroom. I need to fit a fire extinguisher, which will probably go down there, I think. And the couch cushions, which are here, I just haven't fitted them yet. Lots of little bits and pieces that need doing, so I'm just going to get stuck in. couple of Saturday morning, and it's the last scheduled day of the van build. I'm not going to get everything finished today. It's going to spill into next week a bit. But I have a list of jobs prioritised by what needs doing today, because we're going away in the van for a couple of nights starting tomorrow. So I'm going to be concentrating on getting all the things done that need doing so that we can go away in the van. And then there's other little bits and pieces that can be finished off next week. So yeah, just getting into it and getting it done. Peter and Cheryl, if you're watching, the idea to do this came from looking at your van. And basically the idea is that we've got a shower curtain here in the bathroom which we can use to pull across to keep the toilet dry when we're showering. So you could put your clothes on the toilet or whatever if you wanted to, or it just to keep the toilet dry mainly. Drape the curtain across in front of the toilet when you're showering. Pretty simple really, just a cheap cloth shower curtain from Kmart. Bit of curtain wire. So I've taken all the drawer fronts off from the wardrobe drawers because I had too much. I had not enough clearance for them, so they were catching on stuff. So I'm going to just cut them all down by one kerf width of the saw blade. This stop block with the dovetail, so it's stuck in place, and then I'll just take a cut on this so that it's exactly lined up with the blade, and then I can take repeated cuts by putting my drawer fronts in, butting them up to that, and it will take one kerf width off the end. And we'll take one kerf width off each end of all the drawer fronts so that they all line up nicely still, and it will solve the clearance issues that I have. Starting to get too much water in here.
Yeah.
Too much rain. Thanks for joining me for episode 27. That's the end of the episode. By the time you see this episode, we will have been away in the van for a couple of nights up to Lake Eildon. So looking forward to that. Should be fun to give it a bit of a shakedown trip and see what things we need to tweak and change, what works and what doesn't. Looking forward to that. After all the months of work, it's great to finally be able to go away in the van. So yeah, we'll see you next time.